Good morning.
Good morning, Bernard.
Hope you guys are fired up for the day.
Always. Like, I mean,
are you ready for the election? It's in 18 days.
Well,
not sure.
Yeah, I was having a conversation about it yesterday, Bernard, and there seems to be a general acceptance by quite a few people, at least in my circles, that they will not vote.
A lot of people are saying that.
They've not decided who to vote for.
No,
it is not. They won't vote.
They don't like the options on the table.
How does that solve any of our problems?
I don't know. Like, we were having conversations about it yesterday.
12 political parties.
Yes, but the
NDC,
argument is that
MPP, CPP, PNC, APC, PPP, GCPP, APP,
independent candidates. Yeah. But you see, they're saying that, number one, the duopoly is what rules, and they don't like either of the two parties, and they feel like they vote for another party is a waste of a vote because they won't win anyway.
But what if all of them vote for the other party? How's that a waste?
Which other party?
No, I don't know, but all I'm saying
it's called game theory. You see, because we are all thinking in a certain way.
I agree.
It's a self-perpetuating prophecy.
But
you have look, some countries have only two options. Some countries have only one option.
One option.
You have
13
guys.
But what's the point in having 13 options when none of them are favorable to you?
Then it means you have a problem.
What's the problem? Is that
you
an
the
indictment?
person.
That's an indictment on our system.
I mean, you have 13. How can you have 13 political parties and say you don't?
No, that's an indictment on our system.
The thing is,
okay, then go and be the president yourself.
And none of them are people. Yeah, like they don't want to choose any of them.
Yeah, because then you can't tell me that of the 13 options you have, you haven't tried, or you've tried only 2. And you're saying that because you tried 2 and they failed you, everybody else will not move. You are the only sensible person who will move, so you won't vote at all. I mean, what kind of logic is that?
Yeah, I'm just telling you what the people like
saying.
yesterday. Like yesterday, there was a conversation for about 40 minutes on my road, and there was just disenchantment. It wasn't that these are party people. Like for both.
So that's different.
Yeah,
I mean, they are party people.
It's not just party people, or
they're just
it's not just party people.
You know?
Anyway, let's do the
I'll ask the listeners this morning and see what they'll tell you.
Well, that they won't vote.
That a lot of people will not vote or don't want to vote. Trust me.
Not that they haven't decided who to vote for. That they won't vote.
That they won't vote.
You mean we should do less bet?
Let's bet.
Okay. We will see.
Front page of the Daily Graphic Better. Resignation of Special Prosecutor Hamidu's claims disingenuous. Presidency affirms. Black Shield customers others to receive part of locked up funds. That is good news. And government launches 100 billion Ghana City economic recovery blueprint.
All right. The Ghanaian Times. No interference in your work. Office of President dismisses resigned OSP's allegation. DVLA grabs 2 awards for digital service delivery. Collapse fund management companies. Government authorizes partial payment to customers. And fire guts pedestrian mall in Accra. We saw that yesterday.
Front page of the Daily Guide. Circle Mall gutted. President visits scene. Photo of the president. Rawlings' death a big blow to NDC. Nana flattens Amidu claims blow by blow. Government bails out fund investors, also on the front page of the paper.
The Chronicle. You told lies, I gave you money. President debunks Martin Amidu's claim. Rawlings reports fake account to police. This is Kimathi. There's a fake Twitter account that has been opened in his name, and he says it is not him, and he's now reported to police and to Twitter. President directs MBSSI to give Odona fire victims cash. And Niade family urges Kokorobite and Tuba residents to regularize land documents.
Front page of the Daily Statesman. Government to support over 3,000 Odona market fire victims on the front page. Budget report exposes Amidu over lack of resources claims.
The New Crusading Guide. Occupy Ghana expresses concern over Amidu's resignation. Maslock boss hits hard at Mahama and NDC. Foreign Minister commissions new chanceries in Brussels, Berlin and Geneva. And borders of Nungwa school lands outlined as Paramount Chief cautions encroachers.
Front page of the BNFT. Government gives 1 billion Ghana City relief package to Gold Coast customers. Others awaits complete validation to settle the remainder. Cocoa Board targets 300% increment in coffee production. Interesting. Successful implementation of AFTA could quicken economic recovery. And Kotoka International Airport unveils stricter measures to curb COVID-19 importation.
The Business Finder. Industry and development partners back CARES program, and World Bank pledges a further $20 million. Customers of defunct fund management companies to get 50,000 Ghana cedis, and the U.S. supports Ghanaian women entrepreneurs.
Let's take you online to citynewsroom.com. Lots of stories on there. Martin Amidu's resignation came as a surprise. This is the OSP board chair. Also, we're confident of election 2020 victory despite Amidu resignation. This is Hajide. Meanwhile, there's a story here why Amidu rejected keys to new office building. Meanwhile, fire raises parts of Sakumono School complex. Then there's this story about the Electoral Commission. Adam Bona alleges that over 60% of security personnel's names are missing from special voters list, but EC dismisses this claim. So we have that story. And then 3 victims of Almighty gas explosion die, and Obechebi Lamte Road to be reopened to traffic next week. Now, if you go to citybusinessnews.com, customers of defunct fund management companies to receive up to 50,000 Ghana cedis. This is SEC. Also, producer price inflation decreases marginally for October, and NIC takes steps to end market fires. The Insurance Commission wants to end market fires. If you go to myjournalline.com, Amidu had the authority to stop Akufo-Addo from interfering with his anti-corruption fight. This is Boabinga Samoa. Also, Joy News uncovers how an NLA contract robbed the country of $10 million.
Hey.
And also, Amidu willingly submitted documents to the presidency. This is Kojo Opon-Kroma. Meanwhile, Suleiman Brahma says those calling Amidu incompetent want to salvage the damage caused. Now let's move to Star FM. Akufo-Addo won't banter, quote unquote, Amidu over allegations. Meanwhile, Amidu should have known some people were untouchable. This is Professor Jampo's view on the matter. Professor Benemed, a second accused person at Kolebu for treatment. This is getting serious. And as we said, 3 victims of whole gas explosion dead. Ghana News Agency is also leading with President's visits touched Odona pedestrian shopping mall, and he refutes special prosecutors' allegations, and Ghana signs concessional loan with Korea or Korean company. Yeah, the Ghana report also talks about Professor Benemeda. State still can't explain in court why the second accused is hospitalized. So this story is getting pretty murky. And also, Akufo-Addo orders MBSSI to support victims of Odona market fire. All right, guys, let's get into the details. Okay, so a lot of newspapers are now getting the Akufo-Addo response, which was on radio throughout yesterday. So just give us some angles to that, because this story is actually something we've been running with the whole of yesterday.
Okay, then let me take you to the front page of the Daily Graphic, Bernard. Resignation of Special Prosecutor Amidu's claims disingenuous, presidency affirms. The office of the president has said the government carried out its responsibility as best as it could to make the office of the Special Prosecutor functional. It has therefore rejected claims by the former Special Prosecutor, Mr. Martin Ebike Amidu, that he did not get the needed support from the president, for which reason he had resigned from his position. Mr. Amidu had, in a 4-page statement on his resignation released last week, claimed, among other things, that the reaction he had received for daring to produce the Japa Royalties Limited Transactions Anti-Corruption Report convinced him beyond any reasonable doubt that he was not intended to exercise any independence as the SP in the prevention, investigation, prosecution, and recovery of assets of corruption. Now, with regards to the response signed by Nana Bidie Tuasante, said that Mr. Amidu had created the impression that he had uncovered serious corruption and corruption-related offences regarding the Jabba transaction, in respect of which he intended to open full investigation as the SP. It said Mr. Amidu's position was most disingenuous and not supported by facts. In the view of the presidency, with Mr. Amidu having indicated that his report on the Jabba transaction was not a criminal investigation, which nevertheless he was mandated under Section 2 of Act 959 to carry out, it was confusing and incomprehensible how he could say that his report discloses several serious corruption and corruption-related offences without taking any further steps in the matter consistent with his mandate.
All right. The Times, Ghanaian Times, also has that story on page 13. So does the Chronicle. And Times, it gives you some details on the figures of the budgets that he was given. In 2019, the OSP was given an annual budgetary allocation of over 180 million Ghana cedis, which the presidency said is higher than some ministries in the current administration. And in 2020, the OSP had an approved budget of over 188 million, out of which 39.3 million had been released, and the office had not accessed the amount on the in the government's in the account that they had, and they had only spent 308,000 Ghana cedis on compensation of employees.
Yeah, so there's a lot of that breakdown on various websites. For example, we use only 129 million cedis out of 322 budgetary allocation made to his offices, the finance ministry. But there's a very interesting angle to the issue. You know, there was one part where they said he rejected keys to a new office building.
Yes.
Now we have more information as to why he rejected the keys.
Tell us.
So CitiNewsroom.com says former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu has explained why he rejected keys to a new building designated to serve as the office of the Special Prosecutor, and caused the key to be returned to the Chief of Staff. In a letter addressed to the Chief of Staff, Rema Akosia Osei Pare, Martin Amidu expressed regret that the chief of staff had not even inspected the said building to ascertain its suitability for use as his office before dispatching her chief director to bring the keys of the building to him. Now, this information is contained in a letter he sent to the chief of staff on August the 3rd about the offer of Get Fund property at Ridge. Consequent to claims by Mr. Amidu in his resignation letter that government had not adequately resourced his office, including lack of a conducive environment or accommodation to serve as his office, the president responded in a public letter saying the government made every effort to provide a suitable premises for the office of the special prosecutor. Now, here's the letter. It's pretty long. We'll not read it on the review, but it's on our website. It actually says that the reason he rejected the letter is it's about 7-paragraph letter, very long letter indeed. So there were other reasons. He was basically saying that he thought that the chief of staff's office should have inspected the building to make sure it was suitable before presenting the keys. Then there are a couple of comments about Mr. Amidu's situation. For example, Professor Jampo on Star News says Amidu should have known that some people were untouchable. So academic Professor Ananswa Jampo has expressed regret over the resignation of Martin Amidu as special prosecutor. According to him, the now resigned special prosecutor should have preempted most of the challenges he complained about while in office. Then I have another one from the board chair of the special prosecutor. She was on the point of view last night. Now, Martin Amidu's resignation came as a surprise. Now, the board chair of the OSP, Linda Oforikwafu, says news of Martin Amidu's resignation came as a surprise to the board, as it was not aware of any such move being contemplated by the former special prosecutor. Linda Oforikwafu said she is uncertain if the board could have intervened and averted his resignation, assuming they were made aware of his plans. In an interview on Point of View, she said the board was also not aware of some of the concerns Mr. Amidu raised in his resignation letter to the president. Now, she then says, we asked whether they were to blame for some of the problems that the board, that Mr. Amidu was facing. And she says they deliberated on some of the issues of accommodation at the board meetings, but they cannot be blamed for what happened eventually. The interview is on citynewsroom.com for those who want to know.
Okay, let me then take you to the Odona market, because the president was there yesterday. Back page of the Daily Graphic covers that story, as does the front page of the Daily Guide. I'll take you to the Daily Graphics version of the story. President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo has described the fire that razed the Odona pedestrian shopping mall as a big tragedy and has assured victims of the government's urgent support to enable them restart their businesses. For a start, he said relevant organizations would come around to compile the details of the victims for support. Additionally, he said the government had also decided to rewire all markets in Accra to forestall such sad incidents. President Akufo-Addo gave the assurance when he visited the market located near the Kwame Nkrumah interchange in Accra. The chief executive officer of the NBSSI, Mrs. Kosi Yankee Aye, told the president, she was also around, that her outfit had commenced discussions with the Klote Koli Municipal Assembly to identify the victims and offer financial support.
All right, the Chronicle also carries that President directs NBSSI to give Odona 5 victims cash. Since you've dealt with that already, Godfred, let's talk about land. Now, if you're buying land, you need to know who owns it, okay? Now, I'm going to go to Nungwa and to Kokorobite as well. So let's start off in Nungwa. This is in the New Crusading Guide. The paramount chief of Nungwa, King Odaifio Wilenchi III, and his elders have, through the chief of staff, Mr. Frank Kofi Lewi, issued a statement to outline all Nungwa stool lands and to sternly caution illegal developers and encroachers alike. Chief of staff pointed out that in their recent inspection report, it has become clear that some individuals have appropriated some stool lands to themselves, while others also show documents which are forged and purported to have come from the stool, only for proper scrutiny to prove otherwise. He pointed out that the layouts of Nungwa stool lands, which include southwest of Achalibuche, Maijon, New Nungwa, Ajingano, and Okboegono, Teshi Extension. The other layouts include Bachana, and they list all of them as well. Now, if you go to Kukurobite, the Niade Nkpa royal family has decided to undertake development projects in Kukurobite and its environs. According to the family, this has been necessitated by the tourism potential of the area, which can be capitalized on to transform the economic status of the people, as well as to attract more businesses. He had a press conference yesterday. He said the family wants to facilitate development in the area and to assert the court's decision, which went in their favor because there was some disputes over the lands. They are embarking on massive regularization of land documents, so people should check their documents and make sure they're legal.
All right, let's go to City Business News. There's a story there, Black Shield customers and others to receive receive partial payment of up to 50,000 cedis.
BNFT also has that story on page 3. Government has provided 1.4 billion Ghana cedi relief package to embattled customers of 27 collapsed funds management companies, including Gold Coast Limited, which hitherto had not received a penny due to a prolonged validation process. A press release by the SEC dated 18th November stated that government has authorized a partial bailout which involves payment of up to 50,000 Ghana cedis to all customers of the remaining affected fund management companies while court processes on the liquidation petition and other matters continue. This means that all 92,460 affected customers under this special arrangement will receive claims of no more than 50,000 Ghana cedis, even if their deposits exceed that amount. Such customers, according to the press release, will be settled after the liquidation proceedings in court, in line with terms being applied under the bailout package for clients of the fund management companies currently under liquidation. Now, the release adds that of the total number of affected customers of the 27 fund management companies under this arrangement, Gold Coast Limited, now Black Shield Fund Management customers, comprise 92%.
Yeah. Now, let me take you to this other issue. Joy News uncovers how an NLA contract robbed the country of $10 million. Story says the Joy News investigation has uncovered a loss of over $10 million in the procurement of point-of-sale devices for the National Lottery Authority. In the documentary, the team gathered evidence that the contracts of the supply of 30,000 POS devices for the NLA should have cost less than half of the contract sum of $25 million. Now, the NLA has sent a response, and it's on the same website. And it says the NLA is disappointed at the unprofessional and unethical conduct of Joy News and Joy FM and Multimedia over unfair, untrue, and biased reports on the procurement of NextGo Android point-of-sale terminals by the authority. Then they give a whole response. They say it's not true that the price was inflated as stated by the documentary. It's also not true that the NLA had procured 30,000 points-of-sale terminals. According to their response, they only had the financial strength for 5,000 out of the 30,000 point of sale terminals, and therefore only 5,000 were purchased. And they also say the cost and negotiations for the award of the contract to the manufacturer was approved by the Public Procurement Authority. So the documentary is there. The response is also there. For those who want to get into the details, it's on the website. Right. Let's come to other stories now.
Yes, okay. The business find the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. So fruits and vegetable producers are crying for more engagement. For players in that industry and the export space, they want to take full advantage of the much talked about Africa Continental Free Trade Area, but it remains a tall order. The farmers hardly understand the meaning of the AFCFTA, let alone know the benefits of the trade deal promises. President of the Vegetable Producers and Exporters Association, Mr. Mauli Kamasa, laments the lack of engagement of member farmers by the AFCFTA authorities over logistical arrangements to ensure smooth operations as the trade deal beckons. He says, in this sector, we are not ready for the AFCFTA, and it's because the ongoing campaign isn't going down to the ground. There should be increased education for players in the fruits and vegetables sector to understand the meaning of the agreement and its benefits for all of us.
There's a weird series of stories here. I'm not sure if...
I have a lot of
So, for example, Adam Bona is alleging that over 60% of security personnel's names are missing from the special voting list. Then the EC is dismissing that allegation, and neither have offered us any more information apart from the claims. So that's why I'm a bit iffy about this. So, for example, security analyst Adam Bona has raised concern over what he says is the omission of names of security personnel from the special list of voters for the upcoming December 7 polls. He says the number of excluded accounts for more than 6% of the personnel. Now, he says information available to him suggests that the affected officers are part of the security task force to be deployed on EC election day, hence the exclusion from the special voting has become problematic. Okay, then he says he's gathered information from most of the security agencies. When he was asked which specific ones, he could not say. He said he wouldn't say because it would sort of be revealing the source. Then we spoke to the EC. EC is dismissing the claim outrightly. Electoral Commission's Director of Elections, Dr. Srebo Kweku, has called into question claims that the names of more than 60% of security officers is missing from the register. Director of Electoral Services says no such information has come to the EC's attention and believes the information is false. He told Umaru Sanda Amadu that I don't think this is true, and then he goes on to say that when the list is ready, he will let the public know. So we haven't really seen the list, so it's more like a claim versus a counter claim. So not too sure if we should proceed too much with that.
Okay, well, the Daily Guide on pages 6 and 7 has a lot of crime updates, so you can get that on page 13 as well. The Bene issue,
the Bene issue is becoming pretty weird.
It's on page 13.
Let's get that.
Okay, so second, Professor Bene killer recovering. According to the paper, A second suspect in the gruesome killing of a senior law lecturer at the University of Ghana, Professor Emmanuel Obene, is said to be responding well to treatment, a Kaneshie District Court was told yesterday. The suspect, Opambo Ejabedun Cancer, had taken ill sometime last month and was sent to the police hospital in Accra for treatment. The suspect has since not been brought to court, and the prosecution led by Inspector Robert Terry Kufu yesterday told the court that there are some treatments that have to be administered on the accused person at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, which was why he was not brought to court.
This is serious.
The back page of Ghanaian Times. Pharmacists caution against dispensing unauthorized antibiotics. Now, this is very important because the problem they're seeing is that people take antibiotics without needing them, and then you end up becoming resistant to them. So when you actually need them, they don't work. So the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana has cautioned pharmacists against dispensing antibiotics without appropriate authorization due to increased antimicrobial resistance among the Ghanaian public because of the wanton abuse of antibiotics to protect themselves against the coronavirus disease. So the AMR, named by the World Health Organization, is one of the 10 threats to global health. It occurs when bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites change over time and no longer respond to medicine, making infections harder to treat and increasing the risk of disease spread. People who don't even need antibiotics have been taking them because of COVID, and the evidence shows that if they continue to do this, when they actually need those antibiotics to work,
People need to take this seriously. Now, go on.
Okay, I wanted to end from my side with a story on page 37 that will interest you. Government keen on ending sugar imports.
Okay.
Ghana is finding avenues to raise the domestic production of sugar to meet local demand. The avenues, which include support to sugar manufacturers and to produce more, and the attraction of FDI into the business, followed an increase in demand for sugar by local consumers. In the new National Export Development Strategy, a blueprint for harnessing the full potential of the non-traditional export sector, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority said majority of those demands had been met with imports, a development they said was inimical to national development. Data from the authority shows that the country consumes about 370,000 tons of sugar annually, although the domestic production averages about 250,000 tons.
Wow, this is a good one. Finally, the Obeche-Bilamte Road to be reopened to traffic next week. This is according to the Minister for Roads and Highways, Christian Makwanta, says the first year of the Obeche-Bilamte interchange project will be open to traffic by next week. According to him, the first phase of the project is over 90% complete. Now, the Obeche-Bilamte project is a 3-tier interchange consisting of graphic road flyover to separate traffic on the Kaneshie Malam Road. He was speaking to the media after inspecting the ongoing project, and he says he's satisfied with this process, progress with work.
But Alaska, I have a question for you. Which is the most popular campaign giveaway? Cooking pan, football, or moto?
Moto.
I think it's motorbike, and I don't even know why.
It baffles me, seriously. If we say
Yeah, but
there's a
anyway,
problem,
you know what? I will come to that.
Yes.
I wanted to just remind you that you said people say they won't vote.
This
Okay.
is judgment.
You wait till December 7. You will see. You will see the truth.
This is the City Breakfast